Take three. Hi guys, it's Paul again, talking to you from my home office in Tucson, Arizona. It's been a minute since I've made a tape for you all, but yesterday I had a new air conditioner and HVAC system put in our house, made by a company called Rheem. You've probably heard of that. And that's kind of how my bank account feels right now, basically reamed out. So to celebrate, instead of buying another wristwatch, I'm going to make a short video about some of my wristwatches. And in this case, I'm going to talk about the 5 Chinese-made wristwatches that are in my collection. People talk about, I'm talking about people on watch forums where people tend to be a little bigoted and prejudiced sometimes. They talk about Chinese watches like people talked about Japanese cars back in the early 1960s before we discovered how good they really were. And I feel that way about Chinese watches. I mean, this is a watchmaking nation. They've been making watches for centuries. They do a very good job, very good job overall. Their prices are very low. You can get a doggone good watch for the money. I don't see anything to complain about with Chinese watches. But most of the complaints focus on the fact that most of the Chinese watches you see, at least here in Western countries, are what they call homage watches. They're watches that copy or echo the design of much more famous watches that people typically cannot afford, which is the reason I have a bunch of homage watches, because I can't afford the real thing. But you know what? I'm pretty happy with the homage watches that I have, and I wear them for their own sake now. The first one I'm going to show you is a watch made by a company called Pagani Design. I'm going to kind of move this around a little bit because I'm not sure how the reflections are working, and I want to be sure you can get a good look at it. This watch is an homage to the Omega Speedmaster, pretty famous watch worn by the American astronauts in the Apollo era, and probably going back before that, all the way back to Gemini and Mercury. This watch is not an exact copy. The subdials are a little bit different. You'll notice it does not say Omega on the dial. It says Pagani Design quite clearly. So it's an homage watch. It's not a fake. It's not a replica. It's an homage. This one's interesting because it has a hybrid movement. It's called Mecha Quartz. It is both mechanical and battery-powered quartz movement. The quartz movement drives the hour and minute hand, the sweep second hand. The mechanical movement powers the chronograph function where you can do your timing. This watch has an engraved back. I'll try to get you a good look at that and move it slowly so you catch it without reflections at some point. You'll see it's got a space shuttle engraved on the back, which is pretty fanciful, I think, because that's not the vehicle that went to the moon. But anyway, very nice watch. I want to say another thing. This one came, all of my Pagani, not all, most of them came with metal bracelets. And the metal bracelets are well made. I've got no beef with them at all. But I personally am a strap guy. I like leather straps. I like silicone straps. My wrist swells up during the day and it shrinks during the day. You can't adjust a metal band all that easily, although they're getting better, but not mine. So I put most of my watches on different straps, and this one is on a silicone strap, very soft, very comfortable to wear. In fact, I have another one on this Seiko that I wear fairly often. I put these silicone straps on a lot of my watches. The second Pagani Design homage watch I ever bought is this one. This one is based on the Rolex Submariner, which is a pretty famous watch. Most of it in the West probably think of it as the James Bond watch. I actually went to Hong Kong in 1990 and tried to buy one of the real ones, but it was outside of my budget. I was able to buy this one a couple of years ago for about $50. This is again a Pagani Design. It has a stainless steel case. It has a sapphire crystal. It has a nice metal bracelet. This is on its original metal bracelet, by the way. Uh, you'll see through the open case back, it has a Seiko movement. I'm not sure what the designation of that movement is, but it is a Seiko Japanese movement. So it's a good quality piece. It's got the look of the Rolex Submariner, which is what I wanted in a watch. I wanted that classic look, and this watch definitely fits the bill. I wear it fairly frequently. The third one I bought is another homage, kind of a different deal. This one's a dive watch, very, very colorful, obviously. And this one is designed after the Omega Planet Ocean, and it's one of their commemorative editions associated with the America's Cup yacht race. I think this particular model was the America's Cup 2003 maybe commemorative watch. Anyway, that's the watch this watch is modeled after. Again, it's Pagani design, says so very clearly on the label. This one also has that open case back. You probably get a better look at it here than you could with my metal bracelet in the way. Again, Seiko movement. It has this little release valve here for the helium for when you're coming up from the depths. That is non-functional. It screws in and out, but it doesn't do anything. But it sure looks kind of cool. You'll notice the band on this watch. It came with a band that looked almost exactly like this, but it had a clasp, and I don't like clasps, so I replaced it with a band that looks very, very similar, but has a traditional buckle. That's just me. That's my personal preference. The last of my 4 Pagani design watches, another homage. This one is an homage to a watch made by Tudor, a company that is associated closely with Rolex. In fact, I think it's owned by Rolex, or they're both owned by the same company. It's modeled after a watch called the Tudor Black Bay, commonly referred to as the BB58. This is a very, very handsome watch. This is probably, of the 4 Pagani design watches I have, probably the best made. Again, open case back, showing that Seiko movement back there. This one's got a feature on it, though, that kind of bugs me. You'll notice this watch does not have a date window on the dial. My other watches basically do. This watch, when you go to set it, and I have to set it whenever I wear it because I only wear it about twice a month maybe. So I have to wind it up and I have to set it every time I wear it. When I do, the crown has 2 pull-out positions. On the first pull-out is where you normally set the date if your watch has one of those date windows. You pull out 1 notch, you set the date, you pull it out the second notch, and that's where you set the hour and the minute hand. You set the time, basically. Well, this watch has that. So that date wheel is in there somewhere, but it's a ghost date wheel because it's hidden from view. You can't see it. And every time I go to set this watch, I have this low-level anxiety of, gee, I wonder what date it's showing in there. How is there any possible way I can figure out what date it's showing and make sure that it's showing the correct date, even though it doesn't show? So that's kind of weird. The last of my 5 current Chinese watches is made by a company called Suges, S-U-G-E-S-S. I'm assuming that is how it's pronounced. This watch is modeled after a Breitling, the Breitling Top Time, which is an automotive racing chronograph. It looks very, very much like the Breitling. This is probably the most copyish of my homage watches. The big difference, though, I think, is that sweep second hand, which you might be able to make out is in the shape of a lightning bolt, and I don't think Breitling does that. That's unique to this watch. Again, sapphire crystal, stainless steel case, highly polished. Check this out, though, this movement. Wow. This is a hand wind only Swiss movement that the Chinese have been making under license for about 60 years. It powers a lot of these hand-wound Chinese watches. It's a very, very good movement, lovely design, nice to look at. Again, I've got this on an aftermarket strap. It came with 2 different straps, but I replaced it with a rally strap that I think is appropriate, that I really, really like. So those are the 5 watches that are currently in my Chinese Chinese part of my collection. I wanted to show you one more that I had briefly. This one is called a San Martin. San Martin is a Chinese watch company that makes a lot of non-homage watches. They make a lot of their own unique designs, and very highly regarded in the watch community, actually. I said earlier, people are always dissing Chinese watches. They don't diss the San Martins. The San Martins have a very, very good reputation for quality. This one was a homage to a Rolex Submariner model with the green bezel and dial combination, color combination that wearers often call the Starbucks. So you'll hear it called the Starbucks. I had this watch for 3 months or so. My grandson was graduating from college back in January, and we were also up there for Christmas. And I thought, well, what the heck? I'll give him that for graduation and for Christmas. So he's wearing that watch today, and I no longer have it in my collection. Will I get another San Martin someday? Yeah, probably I will, when I could afford to, when I'm in between air conditioners and furnaces. So basically that's what I wanted to talk about today, were those Chinese watches. Say a little bit about Chinese watches in general. I'm very happy with the quality of them. I'd recommend them to anybody. And I wanted to say one more thing. I know my videos are very amateurish, very, very homemade. My plan is to keep them that way. I hope you enjoy them. We're one watch enthusiast talking to, I hope, fellow enthusiasts. And I hope you come back to see some more. Until then, stay fresh, everybody. Talk to you soon.